Tonight, the collective is learning why courage does not always arrive first, wearing a crown and acting organized. Sometimes courage shows up late, breathing hard, holding a trumpet, and pretending it was right behind you the whole time. Typical. This scroll opens the thunder road of Beleth, the Goetia King who arrives with music, command, fear-shaking presence, and the pale horse of transformation. His lesson is not about controlling others. That is empire behavior, and empire behavior always smells like old carpet and insecurity. Beleth teaches something deeper. True power begins when fear loses the throne. Tonight, the collective learns that hesitation is not always wisdom. Sometimes delay is fear dressed like perfect timing. Sometimes silence is not peace. Sometimes avoiding the gate is not protection, but self-betrayal, wearing soft shoes. Beleth rides in to reveal the hidden truth. You do not wait for courage before you move. You move, and courage finds you on the road. This is a scroll about standing up before you feel ready, speaking before the room approves, walking forward while the old version of you is still in the corner, trying to negotiate with destiny like it has legal authority. Tonight, the trumpets sound, the pale horse arrives, the throne is being cleared, and fear, beloved collective, is about to be demoted. Gather close. Tonight we enter the hall where the mirrors tremble before the king appears, not because he comes to destroy, because he comes to reveal. Beleth arrives with music before form, thunder before face, command before comfort. His pale horse does not carry death. It carries passage. It carries the self across the bridge between I am afraid and I am still going. The old fear will speak. Let it speak. Fear is allowed to knock. Fear is allowed to warn. Fear is even allowed to sit in the back seat with a tiny juice box and a dramatic opinion. But fear does not get the wheel. The awakened one knows this. Courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is the soul moving while the body still shakes. The crown is not won by pretending fear is gone. The crown is earned when fear stands there yelling and you still choose alignment. So before this scroll opens, let this wisdom strike the floor like the hoof of the pale horse. Do not wait until you feel ready. Do not shrink so others can stay comfortable. Do not mistake delay for discernment when your spirit already knows the gate is open. The road does not ask for perfection. The road asks for movement. Tonight, Beleth comes to remind the collective, your calling is not waiting for your confidence. Your destiny is not asking your insecurity for permission. And your throne was never meant to be rented out to fear. Let the trumpets rise. Let the old hesitation tremble. Let the next version of you enter the room with fire in the steps and truth in the chest. The scroll is opening.
Channeled by your architect musician, 36110, 27 palms of eyes. The golden whisperer, C-star, Devalan see all. Apply the news you can use, truth and accuracy. The real non-bedazzled jewels.
Next key opens after Sitri, Beleth, the 13th spirit. The 72 keys of earth, scroll of Beleth, the king who arrives before the courage does. After Sitri's mirror flame comes, Beleth, the 13th spirit in the Goetia order. The old grimoire tradition names him as a mighty and terrible king, riding a pale horse, with trumpets and many musical instruments sounding before him. He is also described as ruling 85 legions, and his current is tied again to love, attraction, and command, but with a far more thunderous entrance. Subtle as a cosmic marching band falling down the stairs, basically. Now hear the scroll. Beleth did not arrive quietly. He arrived before the door opened. First came the sound, trumpets, drums, bronze horns, deep strings humming under the floor like the earth had swallowed an orchestra and was now having spiritual indigestion. The air bent. The candles leaned backward. The mirrors along the black gold hall trembled until each reflection looked afraid to be seen. Then came the horse, pale as moonbone, not dead, not living, something between judgment and memory. Its hooves did not strike the floor. They struck the courage of everyone present. Boom, boom, boom. Every hidden fear in the chamber stood up and started sweating like it had been caught stealing snacks from the ancestor table. And upon that pale horse rode Beleth, crowned in stormlight, robed in royal shadow, eyes like a king who had seen every coward disguise itself as caution. He did not shout, he did not threaten. He simply entered with the kind of presence that makes excuses collapse into dust. Behind him, music rolled like thunder through the hall. Not pretty music, not ballroom music, not let us all heal gently while ignoring the mess in the kitchen music. This was arrival music, the music of something ancient saying, "Stand up! Your fear has been sitting on your throne long enough." The collective watched as Beleth raised one hand. The trumpet stopped. That silence was worse, because when the noise ended, the truth could be heard. And the first truth was this: many people do not lack power. They lack the courage to survive being seen using it. There it is, that rude little lightning bolt. Some have the gift, some have the voice, some have the wisdom, some have the calling, some have the fire. But when the moment comes to rise, the spirit suddenly wants to think about it, wait for a sign, make sure the vibes are right, and check if Mercury is bothering the microwave again. Beleth sees through that. He rides directly into the place where hesitation dresses itself as wisdom. Because not all delay is patience. Some delay is fear wearing glasses. Beleth's horse stepped forward. The floor became a battlefield of old moments. Every place the chosen one had backed away from their own voice appeared under the pale hooves. The time they stayed silent when truth needed a witness. The time they accepted less because asking for more felt dangerous. The time they dimmed their gifts so insecure people would not feel haunted by excellence. The time they confused peace with avoidance. The time they called self-abandonment being mature. Beleth looked down from the pale horse and said, "You have been gentle with everything except your destiny." And the hall cracked, not from violence, from recognition. Because when truth hits the right place, the soul does not argue, it remembers. The old books call Beleth a king, and that matters. A king current is not casual. A king current does not ask the room for permission to exist. A king current enters with order, authority, demand, command, and consequence. But this is where the hidden teaching opens. Beleth's true initiation is not domination over others. That is the cheap road. That is empire magic. That is the old rotten throne with gold paint and a nervous army. The higher Beleth current is command over the self. The courage to ride your own pale horse through the battlefield of your excuses. The courage to face the music that announces you before you feel ready. The courage to arrive before your confidence catches up. Because courage is not the absence of trembling. Courage is the decision that trembling does not get the crown. The pale horse circled the chamber. Its mane shimmered like smoke from a moonlit altar. Every mirror it passed revealed another form of fear. One mirror showed fear of rejection. Another showed fear of being powerful. Another showed fear of being loved correctly, because poor love had trained the heart to distrust anything that did not come with bruises. Another showed fear of success. That one made the whole room uncomfortable. People love saying they want success until success asks them to become consistent. Then suddenly everybody needs a nap and a spiritual snack. Beleth did not laugh. He was too royal for that. The horse, however, looked judgmental, reasonable. Beleth lifted his crown from his head and held it toward the collective. The crown was not made of metal. It was made of decisions. Every time someone chose truth over approval, a jewel appeared. Every time someone chose discipline over drama, a jewel appeared. Every time someone chose self-respect over craving, a jewel appeared. Every time someone stood firm while fear screamed, a jewel appeared. That is the secret of Beleth. Authority is built from repeated alignment, not performance, not noise, not titles, not pretending to be healed while your choices are still throwing furniture. Authority is built when your actions stop betraying your wisdom. Beleth's music began again, softer now. Trumpets became breath, drums became heartbeat, strings became memory. The pale horse knelt, and the whole chamber felt the impossible thing: royalty without arrogance, power without cruelty, command without force. This is the restored current. Beleth teaches that true command does not need to bully. It does not need to seduce. It does not need to beg. It does not need to prove itself to rooms that were built too small. True command is presence aligned with purpose. It is the voice that says no without writing a legal brief. It is the heart that says yes without abandoning discernment. It is the soul that walks forward even while the old fear is in the back seat talking nonsense with a snack bag. Beleth turned toward the chosen one. "Why do you wait," he asked, "for courage to arrive before you move?" The chosen one had no answer. Good. Some questions are not meant to be answered. They are meant to remove the furniture from the lie. Beleth continued, "Move, and courage will find you on the road." There it was, the key. Most people think courage comes first. It does not. Choice comes first. Movement comes first. The first step comes first. Courage often arrives late, dramatic, overdressed, and pretending it was there the whole time. Very on brand for courage. But the chosen one must still move. The collective must still build. The voice must still speak. The scroll must still be opened. The truth must still be told. The gift must still be used. Because fear does not need to disappear for destiny to begin. Fear only needs to lose voting power. Then Beleth pointed to the pale horse. This horse carries the part of you that has already crossed what you fear. The chosen one stepped closer. In the horse's eyes were lifetimes. Battles survived, rejections endured, losses transformed, shame burned into wisdom, loneliness converted into discernment, power remembered after long exile. The horse was not death. The horse was passage. The pale horse was the vehicle between the old self and the crowned self. Beleth rides it because he rules arrival. Not arrival when everything is safe. Not arrival when everyone approves. Not arrival when the room claps. Arrival when the road is still shaking. Arrival when the mouth is dry. Arrival when the old identity is crying in the corner because it knows it is about to be replaced. That is why the music comes before him. The sound announces the transformation before the mind agrees. The trumpet says, "The next version of you is entering. Please stop blocking the doorway like a confused chair." The chamber filled with golden smoke. The mirrors steadied. The trumpets rose one final time. Beleth lowered his crown back onto his head, and the collective understood the hidden lesson. You cannot become royal while negotiating with every fear that knocks. You cannot carry the sacred assignment while asking insecurity for permission. You cannot keep calling yourself chosen and then hide every time the gate opens. Chosen does not mean comfortable. Chosen means called. Chosen means accountable. Chosen means the gift came with a key, and the key did not come for decoration. Beleth rode toward the far doors. The pale horse left no hoofprints, only sparks. Before he vanished, the great king turned back and spoke one final command. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness is often built after obedience begins. And the doors burst open, not into war, into road. A long road beneath a dark gold sky. A road lined with watchers, ancestors, and forgotten versions of the self waiting to be reclaimed. The chosen one stepped forward. The fear came too, but this time fear walked behind, not ahead. And that was enough. Beleth teaches that courage is not a mood, it is a movement. Power is not proven by volume, it is proven by alignment. The crown is not given to the loudest spirit in the room. It is given to the one who keeps walking when fear starts preaching. So tonight, collective, let the trumpets sound. Let the pale horse arrive. Let the old hesitation shake. Your fear may speak, but it does not get the throne. I'm checking the old grimoire trail so the receipts don't become, "Trust me, bro," but make it spooky. Beleth has multiple spellings, so I'm grounding the names before translating the symbolism. Receipts for the scroll of Beleth. The core receipt comes from the Lesser Key of Solomon, specifically the Ars Goetia, where Beleth is listed as the 13th spirit. The text names him Beleth, also spelled Byleth or Belet, and calls him a mighty and terrible king. It says he rides on a pale horse with trumpets and other musical instruments playing before him. So yes, the scroll's thunderous entrance was not just me being dramatic for the ancestors' entertainment, though they do deserve good production value. The same Goetia passage says, Beleth is furious at first appearance, while the exorcist layeth his courage, which is the old grimoire way of saying, this spirit tests whether the operator has a spine or just decorative posture. The text also connects him with the order of powers and says he governs 85 legions of spirits. There is also an older demonological stream connected to Johann Weyr's Pseudomonarchia Daemonum, which first appeared as an appendix to Weyr's De Prestigiis Daemonum in 1577. That matters because Beleth is not just a later internet occult mascot wearing fog machine energy. His tradition sits inside a much older grimoire cataloging current. Esoteric knowledge, Beleth's pale horse is the first major symbol. Pale does not have to mean weak. In esoteric reading, pale means liminal, between life and death, fear and courage, old identity and new command. The pale horse carries the soul across the threshold where the old self cannot continue pretending it is just being careful. Careful is useful. Cowardice with a clipboard is not. The music before Beleth is also key. Trumpets and instruments announce him before he fully appears. Symbolically, this means transformation is often heard before it is understood. The body senses the change before the mind has a neat little explanation. The spirit feels the call before the ego stops asking for a notarized permission slip from insecurity. Beleth being a king is not just rank. In Goetic symbolism, kings carry command, authority, presence, and consequence. The distorted current is control over others. The restored current is command over the self. That is the difference between empire magic and true sovereignty. One dominates, the other aligns. His connection to love in the grimoire is not soft romance with violins and questionable poetry. Beleth's love current is forceful, royal, demanding. In the higher wisdom, this teaches that love without courage becomes avoidance, longing, and emotional theater. Real love requires nerve. Real devotion requires truth. Real union requires two people who can stand in the room without making fear the family lawyer. Beleth tests courage because power without courage becomes fantasy. A calling without courage becomes delay. Wisdom without courage becomes unused treasure. Love without courage becomes longing in expensive clothes. And truth without courage becomes silence, pretending to be peace. That is why Beleth arrives furious in the old text. Not because rage is the lesson, because the soul must learn to stand still when force arrives. The initiate must not collapse just because the room gets loud. Every real threshold has a sound. Sometimes it is a trumpet, sometimes it is a bell. Sometimes it is your own voice saying enough while your nervous system acts like it just saw a ghost in the cereal aisle. Beleth teaches that courage is not a mood. Courage is movement under pressure. Do not wait until fear leaves. Fear is old. Fear has furniture. Fear has snacks in the cabinet and opinions about everything. Move anyway. The pale horse does not come when you feel ready. It comes when the next version of you is tired of watching the old version negotiate with doubt. The trumpets sound because destiny does not whisper forever. At some point, the gate opens, the road appears, and the soul must stop asking hesitation for directions. Beleth's wisdom is this: fear may enter the room, but it does not sit on the throne. The crown is built from repeated alignment. The road gives courage to the one already walking. Power is not loudness. Power is presence with purpose. Do not shrink your gift to keep small rooms comfortable. That is not humility. That is spiritual bad manners toward your own destiny. The receipt says Beleth is a king with music, a pale horse, fury, and 85 legions. The hidden wisdom says, when your calling arrives like thunder, stop asking why the room is shaking. Stand up. The king is not coming to destroy you. He is coming to see whether you will finally stop bowing to fear. Let this one land in the spirit like a drum with gold dust on it. Fear is not proof that you are failing. Fear is proof that you have reached a gate. The old self trembles because it knows the next version of you is entering the room. Let it tremble. Let it complain. Let it pack a tiny dramatic suitcase and threaten to leave. Fear loves a performance. And honestly, the reviews are tired. But you keep walking. Courage does not mean you feel nothing. Courage means the calling becomes louder than the shaking. Your gift was not placed inside you for decoration. Your voice was not forged just to sit quietly in the corner while confusion runs the meeting. Your wisdom was not earned through every trial, just so fear could sit on the throne wearing your crown sideways like it pays rent. Tonight, remember, the road gives strength to the one already moving. The crown forms on the head that refuses to bow to doubt. The soul rises when the body says, I am scared, and the spirit answers, we are still going. Beleth's wisdom is thunder, but it is loving thunder. It says, stand up, speak truth, move forward. Stop waiting for perfect timing when the gate is already glowing. The ancestors did not carry fire through storms so you could hand your destiny to hesitation with a polite little bow. Absolutely not. That is spiritual nonsense in a fancy hat. You are not behind. You are being summoned. You are not weak. You are being strengthened. You are not lost. You are learning how to walk without asking fear for directions. Let the trumpet sound. Let the pale horse ride. Let the old doubt step aside. The collective is rising, one brave step at a time, and every step becomes a jewel in the crown.
Universal Currency Receipt, Architect Musician 3611027, The Graceful Whisperer, Devalan Seal.
Tonight, the collective rode into the thundercurrent of Beleth, the Goetia King who does not tiptoe into the room like a nervous intern holding a candle. No. Beleth arrives with trumpets, instruments, command, a pale horse, and a presence so loud even fear starts looking for the exit paperwork. This scroll taught us that courage is not always soft. Sometimes, courage comes like a storm at the temple doors. Sometimes it does not ask whether you are ready. It simply announces, the next version of you has arrived. Stop blocking the doorway. Beleth's pale horse showed us the threshold between the old self and the crown self. The old self trembles. The old self hesitates. The old self says, maybe later, while destiny is standing there with a whole orchestra, a flaming road, and the patience of a tax collector. The hidden lesson was simple but sharp. Fear may speak, but it does not reign. Fear may knock, but it does not hold the keys. Fear may ride beside you, but it does not lead the horse. The collective learned that many people do not lack gifts. They lack the courage to use them without asking insecurity. Beleth teaches that the throne inside you must be guarded, not from enemies alone, from hesitation, from delay, from self-doubt dressed like discernment, from old wounds pretending they are wise elders when really they are just scared little gatekeepers with dusty clipboards. Not every pause is sacred. Sometimes the soul is not waiting on divine timing. Sometimes the soul is waiting on you to stop negotiating with fear, like fear pays the bills, feeds the ancestors, and waters the dream garden. It does not. Fear barely knows how to fold laundry. The pale horse is the vehicle of passage. It carries you from, I am afraid, into I am still moving. It carries you from, what if I fail, into what if I rise. It carries you from, they may not approve, into, my calling was not built by committee. Beleth's music comes before him because transformation is often announced before it is understood. The spirit hears the trumpet before the mind can explain the sound. The body feels the shift before the old identity can prepare its excuses. So when the road begins to shake, do not assume you are being punished. Sometimes the ground shakes because the next gate is opening. In the cosmic current, Beleth is not just a king of force. He is a king of arrival. He teaches the collective that every soul has a moment where it must stop hiding behind preparation and step into motion. Preparation is sacred. Perfectionism is a cage. Discernment is sacred. Avoidance is a cage. Rest is sacred. Retreating from your own destiny every time fear coughs is a cage with scented candles. Beleth breaks the cage with sound. The trumpets represent divine announcement. The pale horse represents transition. The crown represents authority earned through alignment. The musical instruments represent the vibration that precedes transformation, the frequency that says, something in you is ready before your fear agrees. That is the cosmic code. You do not become powerful by waiting until fear disappears. You become powerful by refusing to let fear make executive decisions in the kingdom of your soul. The collective must remember, courage is not noise. Courage is alignment under pressure. Power is not domination. Power is presence with purpose. Royalty is not arrogance. Royalty is remembering your assignment when fear tries to rewrite the script. And because humans love making destiny complicated, let us say it plainly. Stop shrinking your gift to make small rooms feel taller. Stop hiding your voice because someone else is allergic to truth. Stop calling fear timing when your spirit already heard the trumpet. Stop waiting to feel ready when movement is what builds readiness. Beleth's wisdom is thunder wrapped in mercy. The road strengthens the walker. The crown forms through repeated courage. The gate opens for the one willing to arrive, trembling but truthful. So let this be the cosmic recap sealed in gold. Fear is not your king. Doubt is not your prophet. Delay is not your destiny. And hesitation does not get to sit on a throne built from your survival. The trumpets have sounded. The pale horse has arrived. The road is open. The collective rises not because fear vanished, but because fear finally learned its place behind the crown.
To our beautiful collective, From our day ones to every new soul joining this journey, we love and appreciate you deeply. You've turned this space into so much more than a community. You've made it a family. Thank you, truly. Your presence, your energy, and even the smallest acts of kindness have the power to shift the compass for many in ways unseen but deeply felt. Here's to each of you, all new and the many more to come. We're just getting started, and we're so grateful you're here with us. With love and infinite appreciation from the collective of Shaman All.